We have talked a lot about how this Trump administration is really only looking out for Donald Trump and his billionaire buddies. But the Republican Party has been pretty good at convincing a large swath of America that that just isn't the case. They have made people believe that they are the party who is looking out for everyday Americans. It is they who are going to stand up for the little guy. That's why it's so important to not only listen to what they say, but watch what they do, because that will really show you their true intentions. And the House Republicans recently passed a budget framework that is going to cut Medicaid, cut food stamps, cut pensions, all while giving a $4.5 trillion tax cut to those billionaire buddies. And now that this vote is on the record and the American people can see what is in this budget proposal, the Republicans are scrambling to sell this lie to the American people that we wouldn't cut Medicaid. We know you like Medicaid. We would never do that to you. So let's take a look at how they're trying to sell this lie to the American people. First up here, we've got Andy Barr. And this is more of your traditional conservative type arguments. America needs to get back to work. Able-bodied Americans, well, they need to have work requirements. Things like that. Things we've been hearing for decades. And if you do appreciate my work, please do remember to subscribe.
Coming up with the offsets. So when you look at mandatory spending, and this is a point that I've been making recently, is some of this quote-unquote mandatory spending not mandatory at all?
No, look, I mean, Medicaid is a big mandatory spending program, but what we need in this country is for the American people to get back to work.
Yeah.
Work-capable adults need to get off of the taxpayer rolls, and they need to get into private health insurance, in private employment. This is what Secretary Besson and President Trump are talking about when they say re-privatize the economy. This is good for people who are currently on Medicaid in Kentucky and around the country. We want people to not be on Medicaid.
Yeah.
We want them to have good private sector jobs that pay them more and give them better quality private health insurance.
Again, so this is the type of argument that we've been hearing for decades. Republicans believe that the private market can deliver better goods and services and that the American people are better off if they just go private. But I really hate this argument for the main reason is because they just assign so much bad faith to the American people. They think that everybody on Medicaid is just mooching off the government. You really have no faith in your neighbors, man. I mean, I just do not like this argument at all. Not to mention that we are the only G7 country that hasn't figured out a form of universal health care that can cover the American people. I mean, it's just pathetic. But this is the one we've been hearing. This is the argument that we've been hearing for years now. They want to privatize everything. Because them and the billionaire buddies, well, they can capitalize on all of those privatized markets. But now we're getting into more sneaky territory. Because here is Jason Smith. And the budget itself doesn't say they're going to cut $880 billion from Medicaid itself. It says that it's going to be sent over to the Energy and Commerce Committee for them to cut $880 billion. And we will take a look at what that spending actually looks like. But listen to his argument here.
What do you want to say to those people who are upset about these cuts to the SNAP and nutrition assistance? $230 billion in cuts to SNAP and nutrition assistance?
For one, you can't say that it's cuts to SNAPs. This resolution just says the Ag Committee has to cut more than $200 billion. Okay. What you have is other people like the Democrats going out there saying you're going to cut Medicaid, you're going to cut benefits. Nowhere, Maria, in the resolution does it say what the cuts are. It just sets the goal and the target rate of how much we're going to cut.
Now, he's not wrong about that. But this is their attempt to pull the wool over the American people's eyes, okay? It doesn't specifically say go out there and cut Medicaid by $880 billion. Instead, it says send it over to this committee, and they will find the $880 billion of cuts. The only problem with that argument is you send it over to that committee, which is the Energy and Commerce Committee, and this is what spending they have control over. If you look here, Medicaid is a large portion. Medicare is even a larger portion than that. And then you got that little sliver on the bottom there that says other, which is health and then non-health spending. And then if you see below there where it says $880 billion in red there, the math just don't math. Even if you took all of that other spending and cut that out, that would only get you about halfway there to that $880 billion figure. So there is no way that the Energy and Commerce Committee can cut $880 billion without significantly impacting Medicaid. Now, Medicare is off the table because that is mandatory spending. So there is no other way around it. This is the game that they are trying to play with the American people. They are right by saying that it doesn't say going to cut Medicare, or Medicaid, sorry. They're right about that. But just because you don't say that is what's going to be cut, does not mean that that isn't what is going to be cut, as we can see here with that budget breakdown. And then you've got Mike Lawler. He's promising, we're not going to touch Medicaid, okay?
Which is it? Is Medicaid safe or is Medicaid going down? Trump or Johnson? Who's your daddy?
There are many of us, myself included, who will not cut Medicaid benefits to our constituents, period.
So when that bill comes to the floor and there's even $1 in Medicaid cuts, you vote?
Well, we're not cutting Medicaid.
Right, but I'm saying, but when that bill comes to the floor...
If it has Medicaid cuts now.
Right. If there are even $1 Medicaid cuts, you're a no.
On benefits. If you are eliminating any type of fraud or waste or abuse, that's fine. But benefits to beneficiaries, no.
You understand that Elon and Trump are claiming waste, fraud, and abuse where there is none. So when the bill comes and there's $1 to cuts in Medicaid, you're a no.
I will not cut Medicaid benefits, no.
Right.
Why is it so hard for him to answer that question? And this is the other form of their argument. Well, we're going to cut waste, fraud, and abuse. But as we have seen, Donald Trump and Elon Musk are claiming that everything is waste, fraud, and abuse. They are now claiming that we can find $1 trillion in Medicaid of waste, fraud, and abuse. I mean, that's essentially what he is saying here. $880 billion. You are not going to find those types of numbers in waste, fraud, and abuse. That is why you hear Trump at every single public appearance saying waste, fraud, abuse, waste, fraud, abuse. They are trying to sell a lie to the American people. They want them to believe that there is waste, fraud, and abuse everywhere throughout our system, even though they have not provided a shred of evidence to prove that to be the case. Now, is there little bits of waste, fraud, and abuse here and there in our government systems? Of course there is. And we have systems in place to try to root that out. But no reasonable mind can tell you that they are going to find $880 billion of waste, fraud, and abuse in the Energy and Commerce Committee. It's just not going to happen. So this is what the Republicans are doing to try to lie to the American people. They have passed this budget framework that is going to cut billions, hundreds of billions of dollars out of Medicaid. Then it goes on to touch SNAP benefits, which is food assistance. It goes on to cut federal pensions and things like that. It is an absolute disaster, all while giving $4.5 trillion, with a T, folks, in tax cuts to the billionaire buddies. That is what their budget does. And AOC really breaks it down and how simple this actually is.
The order has come down to this committee. Find $880 billion. Find it for what? To pay for a tax cut bill that benefits tax cuts on yachts and private jets and billionaires and mega corporations, while secretaries and working class people pay higher effective tax rates than Facebook does. Undocumented immigrants in this country pay more in taxes than many large corporations do. And so the argument here that these cuts need to be for the sustainability of Medicaid doesn't really make sense when you realize that these cuts are being just moved to justify expenditures and deficit spending in another area.
Yeah, she's exactly right. This budget proposal that the House Republicans passed, it doesn't... You would imagine that if they're going to do all this cutting, that you would at least have a balanced budget, right? But no. Their budget proposal still adds $2.5 trillion to the debt per year. So over 10 years, that's $20 trillion. These people are not serious. They are looking to ransack the federal government to line their own pockets. They are looking out for the billionaire class. 1 in 5 Americans are on Medicaid. Nearly half of children in this country are on Medicaid. And they are trying to take those programs away from the people who need it most so they can give billionaires more tax breaks. It is disgusting. It is un-American. It is just... I'm at a loss for words. So do not let the Republicans try to lie to you and tell you that they are the ones who are looking out for the everyday American, the little guy. No, dude, they're looking out for their billionaire buddies. And the day after this House budget passed, Trump was out there still claiming, we're not going to touch Medicaid.
The funding bill that passed last night aims to cut $2 trillion. Right. Can you guarantee that Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security will not be touched?
Yeah, I mean, I have said it so many times, you shouldn't be asking me that question. Okay? This will not be read my lips. It won't be read my lips anymore. We're not going to touch it. Now, we are going to look for fraud.
Again, with this lie that they're going to find a ton of waste, fraud, and abuse in these systems that they are going to use to justify all of these billions of dollars of cuts, even though they're just lying to your face. We got to hold these people accountable. The American people are starting to wake up to realize what this budget proposal actually is. And we need to hammer on this day in and day out. And we need to educate the American people and help them understand that this is what the Republicans are doing. These are their true intentions. That's why it's so important to not only listen to what they say, but watch what they do. Because at every single term, or every single turn, they are saying one thing while they're doing another. They lie to the American people day in and day out. And it's about time the American people wake up and realize that these people are just looking out for them and their wealthy buddies, and they could care less whether these vital programs are stripped away from some of the most underprivileged people in our country. So, we're going to keep an eye on it. And we will fight back against it. But I will leave it there for now. If you guys got anything out of this video, please do remember to smash that like button and subscribe. Maybe share with a friend or two. I'd very much appreciate that. We've got to build something here on the left that can adequately push back against this right-wing media ecosystem that just shovels shit for the Republicans every single day. So if you do appreciate my work, please do remember to subscribe. If you want to see a better breakdown of what this budget actually is, what it's got in it, what it pretends to cut, go ahead and watch that video on the screen now. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on the next one.